Hey guys, how's it going? So, enough with the fucking remakes and sequels and fucking whatever else. Now, I know that this is far from being a new sort of sentiment. You know, it's sort of been a thing that people have been saying for the last decade, and it feels like it's been a thing for the last decade and a half. But seriously, how many more fucking remakes and sequels are we gonna get? How many more franchises are gonna get dragged out until, the dead corpse of the franchise is just like you put it on one of those like torture devices that they used to use like way back in the day where they would stretch the limbs to make them confess. It's like that's what we're doing to these franchises with all these like sequels, and each one is like more mediocre after the other, and it's just like it's getting so tiring. Now, the movie that inspired me to make this video was The Exorcist Believer. Now, I believe this movie is it's like a sequel, or it's yet another sequel. Even though the original Exorcist movie already had several sequels, apparently we decided it was necessary for it to have another sequel because it mentions Chris from, the original Exorcist movie. And so, for whatever reason, another Exorcist movie. Because why not? And yeah, right now it's sitting at a good old 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, to be fair, I don't really always take Rotten Tomatoes that seriously because, a lot of the time I find that some of the movies that they rate really high are utter garbage, and then some movies that they rate rather low I actually think are pretty good. But it's not just the Rotten Tomatoes score that, makes me cringe at it. It is sitting at a nice old overall 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It is flopping badly. And it's actually funny because the original director of the original Exorcist movie told someone, it was a critic. It was like a critic for some publication or whatever. But this person came forward and basically said that the original director, William Friedman, said that he heard that the same director who directed the most recent Halloween movies, the most recent Halloween trilogy, the first one was actually pretty good, and then there was the second one that was considerably less good, and then there was Halloween Ends, which was, I actually went to theaters to see that one, and I mean it was a fun little movie, I guess, but I'm not going to say it was good. But the same director that directed those last few Halloween movies is the same director that's directing this new Exorcist movie, or that directed this new Exorcist movie, rather. And, the OG director was basically just I want to come back and haunt this guy, this director, after I die and just make his life hell because he's probably going to butcher it. And he has. And that's going down a whole different rabbit hole. But the point is that these sequels, as well as remakes, it's so overdone, and it's time to stop, Hollywood. I mean, I know that you've been sapped for ideas for quite a while. But, there's so many stories out there that are just waiting to be adapted and told that, are new and fresh and stuff. But no, who cares about that? We'll just have another sequel in the Sinister series. Or what's it called? Yeah, there was another one. Or the Conjuring series. Because the Conjuring series, totally hasn't been dragged out at this point, at all. You have a franchise that starts out decently, and then maybe there's a sequel that's just as good as the original or improves on it. I personally thought The Conjuring 2 was actually better than the first one. But then they just keep going and going, and then there's spin-offs. There's spin-offs from the original franchise. There's the Annabelle series. You know, because the first Annabelle movie was just so fucking amazing, you know, when it comes to cinematography, you know, and such a huge contribution to the especially the horror, you know, world and stuff of film. But yeah, like it's just like and look, to be fair with sequels and stuff, sometimes like there are sequels that will come out that are actually pretty fucking good. Like here not too long ago, I went with my best friend to see Saw X, and Saw X actually was a pretty damn good movie. It did something different with the Saw universe, and it arguably made Jigsaw, John, into the protagonist. Like he was like arguably the good guy in that movie, which, you know, is you wouldn't expect would ever be the case. But like if you go and see the movie, it's original and it's new and it does something different. And it was a legitimately good movie. Like the acting was good, the story was good. You know, the characters were, you know, either, you know, thoroughly hateable or likable, weirdly, in Jigsaw's case in that movie. So that's basically me recommending that you go see Saw X if you care for that series at all. But yeah, like there are sequels in franchises that are good, to be fair. Like, I know that some people really like that series that Tom Cruise in. Like, the most recent one, it was Top Gun Maverick. I'm blanking on the series. I'm not really a fan of it. It's just not really my type of thing. But that movie was really well received, and a lot of people like that one. So, to be fair with sequels, sometimes there are some genuinely good sequels. But then you just have, like, again, like, you have the Conjuring series right now, which... The last one I saw, I think it was called Something Made Me Do It, The Devil Made Me Do It, or something like that. And I watched it, and it was so just blah. Like, yeah, I've seen this, you know, been here, done that with this series. Like, you know, how many times do we have to see someone be possessed? And for the Warrens to somehow solve it or save the day, like, how many different ways can this really be done? You know, and then there's the drama with their relationship, and one of them is going to die, and all these stuff that's been visited before. You know, the same thing with, I think it's the Sinister series. Is that what I'm thinking of? It's either the Sinister series or another series that I'm just blanking on the name of right now. It came out around the same time as the Conjuring series. I think it actually has one of the same actors in it. But I'm not... the most recent one called The Red Door. Was it Sinister, The Red Door? I'm probably just completely blanking on the name of the series right now. I do apologize. But that one, too. I remember seeing the first one and the second one. Like, I think I watched the first and the second one all in the same night. And, like, both were good, I thought. Then I saw the third one, and it was just like, this is fucking just mediocre as shit. Like, who... And then, you know, they just kept continuing with it, And, you know, I know. And look, I get it. It's for money. That's what it's all about. It's about milking the franchise, getting as much money out of it as they can. I understand. Most of the time with remakes and sequels, it's either about the money or, you know, just running out of ideas and like, oh, let's take this beloved movie and do a remake on it because that'll get people's attention. So, that or... remaking a movie, and in this case, it's really just with remakes. I mean, I guess you could say it could be with sequels too, but mainly with remakes, from what I see, either you have that or you have remakes where they remake it with a lot of preachy, hand-fisted messages in the film, like, you know, some sort of political message that they want to get across, and they're not subtle about it at all. It's about as subtle as a brick to the head. And then like a sledgehammer to the stomach. You know, typically remakes will be done for that too. And like, you know, sequels is kind of a mixed bag. You could maybe give a bit of a pass to sequels. But with remakes, you know, like maybe you can point to like one or two remakes that were actually good. Or that maybe even improved upon the original. But like how many remakes are there out there that you watch and are just like, wow. Like, you just, like, amazed, like, at the cinematography, the acting. Well, I mean, it's a remake. It's basically the same thing. Maybe a few things are changed, but, like, most of the time with most of the remakes that I've seen, it's mostly just like they're either just like okay, like it's fine. It's just a rehash of the original film with like different actors and maybe like a bit of a different like some different twists here and there. Maybe or just some things done differently. Either that or they're just very meh, just like like very middle of the road, like it's a fucking remake, like who cares? Or they just suck. You know, one remake in particular that I can think of, that I'm thinking of right now, is the Karate Kid remake, you know, with Will Smith's son, because, you know, nepotism. But I saw it like once. And like I'm a huge fan of the original Karate Kid movie. And I remember seeing the remake and just thinking, this movie has no soul to it at all. Like there's no soul to it, there's no substance to it. You know, there's nothing really new here. You know, Jaden Smith's son is annoying, you know, because his acting career just totally took off. You know, he's a big name in the acting world now, totally. You know, and I could do a whole separate review on the Karate Kid remake, but it was just so obviously inferior to the original. And that's usually how it goes with all these fucking remakes. And they keep fucking happening. And it's infuriating because like I said, there's so many different stories. Like right here, The Great and Secret Show by Clive Barker, fantastic book and a great story, would make a fantastic movie or a TV series. Will it be made into a movie or a TV series? Probably not. Probably not for the next 20 years. You know, but there's so many cool stories like that are out there that haven't been adapted yet. You know, but nah, let's just, you know, let's add another, you know, entry into the Conjuring series, or let's crank out another fucking MCU movie, or, you know, let's just remake Narnia, you know, because why the fuck not? You know, I mean, what movie are they gonna fucking, what are they gonna remake next? And they'll remake movies that, like, aren't even classics to begin with. Like, movies that, like, were fine, but then they get a remake, and it's just like, why? It's like another remake is the remake of Annie. It's like, who honestly wanted a fucking remake of Annie? And, like, I'll admit, like, the original Annie movie, it's a fun little movie. It's not one of my favorites, but, I mean, like, I remember watching it a lot as a kid because I thought it was fun, you know? But it's like, who fucking honestly wanted a remake of fucking Annie? I mean, who? Who was just like, you know, just frothing at the mouth, like, I need a remake of Annie because where? You know, who? Same thing with the Karate Kid remake. Who? No one wanted a Karate Kid remake. No one. They're just a bunch of remakes no one asked for and no one fucking wants. And usually they don't improve upon the original. You know, going back to sequels for a second, I mean, I can think of another one, which was the sequel to Orphan. Now, I liked Orphan, the original movie. I thought it was a good movie. I thought that Isabel Fuhrman, who played the main antagonist, was excellent. Especially considering that she's not actually Russian. She's, you know, I believe she's American, but like she did a really good Russian accent. And it has Vera Farmiga, who's always excellent in it. But, like, they did a sequel to that, I think, like, what, over 10 years after the original? And after the main actress was already, like, an adult? And it's like, you know, I could maybe get on board with a sequel to Orphan, maybe. And, like, the concept for it was interesting enough. The execution was kind of so-so. I mean, like, I actually watched it not terribly long ago, and it was okay, you know, but I wouldn't say it really improved upon, you know, the first one. So it's so very much a low point for cinema and movies right now. I mean, it has been for quite some time. That's not anything new. Like I said, this is not a new sentiment at all. But it's just with this new Exorcist movie and with other rumored remakes coming out, it's just like, when the fuck is enough gonna be enough? It's just so fucking tiresome. Like, right now, it's either live-action remakes from Disney, which most of them fucking suck anyways, because Disney can't get its head out of its own ass. because they think that everyone wants to know about their own personal politics. They don't. Either that, yet another superhero movie, because that genre totally hasn't been beaten to death, or remakes or sequels. I mean, really, that's it. You know, there are movies here and there that come out that are actually genuinely good and do kind of set the cinematic world on fire a little bit. Like, I haven't seen Oppenheimer, but I've heard that that was an amazing movie. I really liked Sound of Freedom, although that movie is kind of controversial, but I liked it. It was different, and it shed light on an important issue. Joker is another great example. I thought that Joker was a fantastic movie. And technically, yes, you could say it goes into this, like, the comic slash superhero slash that genre, but not really. It's got a very different feel from the rest of, like, the movies in that sort of genre. And that's what I loved about it, is that it did something different, and it was much darker and grittier. And it had its humorous moments here and there, but it did something different with the genre, and I appreciated that. And like I said, there are movies here and there, like the ones that I just mentioned, that are, you know, at least somewhat original and actually do something new and are genuinely good movies that, you know, will be remembered, that will stand the test of time for a long time. But it just feels like movies like that are so few and far between at this point, because it's just mixed in with a sea of mediocrity and repetition and all this shit. So, yeah, I mean, I think I've pretty much made my point. Like, just enough with the remakes, enough with the sequels. Remakes that, again, no one wanted or asked for. I mean, no one wants to see fucking... insert fucking random movie that I'm sure no one wants to see a remake of, but they'll probably remake anyways, because why the fuck not? Maybe they'll do a remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Make a third movie. And no, not the Wonka movie that's coming out or whatever the fuck it's called. Or maybe they'll make a remake of... They'll do a remake of Wizard of Oz or something, you know, and then have it be like the Tin Man's, like, bisexual or something, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like, just enough. Stop. It's overdone at this point. Adapt other stories. There are many stories out there that are just waiting to be adapted that would make such good TV shows or movies. So, yeah, you guys work on that a bit. Anyways, that's it for this rant. I've said what I needed to say. Let me know what you guys think. Peace, and you guys have a good day.